Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see so many of you. If you could just quickly let us know where you're tuning in from, if you can type your city or your country in the chat, and we'll get started shortly. France, amazing. Ottawa, Longueuil, Charlottetown, a lot of Montreal. Welcome, everybody. Brazil, I love it. So welcome. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Deanna Viola, a member of the CATS team. My name is Valerie Ndiweni. I'm a career advisor at McGill School of Continuing Studies, Career Advising and Transition Services. We are so thrilled to have you join us today for our second keynote of the day with Marcos Carvalho. Marcos is a dear friend to not only the school, but especially the CATS team. You will see very quickly, as soon as Marcos starts to speak, how warm, generous, and understanding this man is. Marcos is a serial entrepreneur. He has started many businesses. He acts as an advisor, as a mentor. He has a special place, especially for educating the youth in terms of their financial literacy. Without further ado, Marcos Carvalho.
You always make me embarrassed, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes, thanks everybody for joining. I heard someone from Brazil. That's cool. I'm originally from Brazil as well. Raised in between France, Brazil, United States, and Canada, and a proud Canadian today. So it's cool to see people from everywhere, and this is what Canada and actually McGill is all about as well, right? Now, let me start. As Valerie said, I'm Marcos. I'm a tech entrepreneur, and I'm obsessed about becoming a better me and surpassing my limitations. This is something that I'm really passionate about. So while working on this passion of mine, I have identified that actually my purpose in life, on top of being an entrepreneur, is to help those who want my help to do the same for themselves. And I do that by advising startups, entrepreneurs, supporting business accelerators, NGOs, and mentoring a few people when I can that ask for my mentorship. I strongly believe in the importance of McGill's career advising and transition services, cause. And I'm very honored actually to be able to share some of my knowledge with you today here. What I'm going to do is to present a crash course with a few of the things that I have learned and done in the past years to be able to perform as a tech entrepreneur so that I could live a healthy and happy life while reaching my goals. And many people don't actually realize how stressful the life of a startup founder can be. One good image is riding a roller coaster while the roller coaster is not finished, meaning that they didn't finish building it, right? You always think you're gonna fall, and it's very stressful, but it's also something that I love. And while I'm a witness of the efficiency of the personal hacking techniques, let's call it like this, that I'll present today, I try here not to be biased on this presentation and base my recommendation on scientific studies. At the same time, I want to keep it simple and focus on the arguments that make more sense for those looking to improve their careers, right? You may require a deeper analysis to be convinced of the benefits of this practice, but unfortunately, we won't have time for that today. I could actually do an entire presentation on each one of these topics, but my goal is simply to instigate your curiosity about these techniques so that you could do your own research, right? Everything is different for each person. Everything should be personalized for each person. Now, what being a peak state means for me at least, and why I chose this title, right? The peak state is not only those moments where you feel very excited and energetic, right? It's not that ecstasy. For me, it's mainly about being able to maintain a constant level of mental and physical energy and positivity throughout the entire day, right? So that's what will really enable you to have the focus to accomplish what you want to accomplish without being disturbed by the constant distractions of your environment. Okay, so this is why I chose this topic. You know, the reason why it's really that I'm convinced that to achieve anything great in life, you need to be at your best. And how important it is to feel happy with your career choice, right? And again, just you know, a little pause in here. I'm the type of person that will talk more than show things, right? But and the Q&A, you can ask questions, and then I can share resources, more resources than I'll be sharing here, right? You know, and making sure that you have the right career for you, it's very important because we spend most of our waking time working. So working on something that we are not passionate about could be considered actually wasting most of our life. I don't want to sound dramatic, but it could be the case. So I believe that life is challenging enough as it is, that allowing ourselves to not control the things we can have power over is basically allowing ourselves to fail, right? So let me start here with a quick question for everybody. And I'm gonna ask you, you know, my helpers here to launch the pool. The first question, to have a better idea of the audience careers orientation today, okay? So please indicate if you are looking to change your career this time, yes or no. I see the results coming. That's pretty cool, goes super fast. So I think we have most of the people answer it stopped. So we have here 72%, 73% actually of you looking to do that. So that's great. That means that I'm speaking to the right audience. That being said, you know, it's just as valuable for those who are not. You know, for those who are looking to change their career this time, I can guarantee that if they apply these tips, they will find themselves at peak state to create the right circumstances in their life to manifest, okay? And I don't want to sound too exoteric here, but you understand why. Attract and live the career of their dreams. Now, for those who are not looking to change their career this time, I can also say with confidence that if you apply or they apply these techniques, it will have a major positive impact on their well-being and on their existing career, right? So through this presentation, I'll share a few quotes, books, and other resources that have really helped change my life for the best and guide me on a daily basis, right? Those are things I actually do every day, most of them whenever I can. So I hope they will be able to guide and inspire you as well, right? What you see here is a quote from Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich is considered the Bible of self-empowerment, right? It's probably the most cherished book by successful and especially self-made people. You know, every biography I read or every major entrepreneur or actors that you know, when they talk about what helped them with their careers, they talk about Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill present his 13 principles to success. And it's really the base of everything we hear nowadays in many other places, right? I highly recommend everybody to read that. Now, another quick question for you, okay? And I'll ask the help of my team and see here as well. So if you can answer this other question, would be great. From 1 to 4, okay, being 4 being the highest level of certainty, how certain are you that you actually your actual career choice is the best one for you?
Marcos, while we wait for the results to come in, just to let you know that we're not able to see your presentation yet.
Oh,
if you'd like to share your screen.
Oh, my screen is not being shared. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it was. Let me stop and try again. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I've been maybe sharing the wrong screen. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. The setup part. I have a few screens going on right now. Sorry. So I had actually my notes there. Okay, cool. So, okay, so we have as 3 being the highest, 40%, still moving a little bit around, and 2, 32%, 1, 70%, 4, 13%. So it's pretty well balanced. You know, everybody has the tendency to stick into the middle with those questionnaires. And this is why I purposely didn't put a 5. But we see that 4, it's winning. So that 3 is winning. So that's a good sign, okay? That's a good sign because actually it's really hard to make sure that this is happening in our lives, you know, you know, it's really hard. I have to confess that, you know, that until not long ago, I did not have the career that I was supposed to have. And I didn't actually, the worst is that I didn't even know I didn't have, I didn't ever ask myself this question. And not enjoying the profession life that I was supposed to enjoy had a much worse impact in my life than I could have imagined. It actually became the source of a very depressive time when I felt that life was very worth living. And I'm very career oriented. I'm very oriented on the activities I do every day. And I just never realized I was doing the wrong thing. So this is why I'm very concerned when people who are just looking for a job and go through life thinking that they will be happy by simply paying their bills, having 2 weeks vacation, and having drinks on the weekends. It's not really like that. We should really spend some time making sure that we are doing the best and take the best decisions for us. I would assume that most of you here today are ahead of that because you are here, right? You are searching for that. You are looking for that type of information. You are getting that data. So that makes me really happy. So, so what identifying you know, our personal path and living a fulfilling life is much harder than most YouTube videos make you feel like it is. There is hope, right? It's not, we can work on that. But that's when you go online, you think that everybody's life is perfect and we can simply do things and we change everything. No, it requires discipline, it requires time. I'm not gonna lie, but it's totally possible. And I would like to, you know, help people to be aware of that, right? So today I will share some of those simple and practical tips, right? That I apply myself on my daily basis to put me in peak states and then really change my life. Because I believe that if you don't take control of your life, like it's written here, right? Someone else will. And that could be your parents, that could be your boss, that could be your spouse, even the government. Now, a lot of people get into careers because of the parents, and then they just continue because they have a family and so on and so forth, and they are afraid to change. So I hope this quote speaks to you the same way it speaks to me, because for me, true freedom is to be in charge of my destiny. Okay, so let's get more hands-on now, right? This was my intro. I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page, but where should we start, right? So first thing first, get to know yourself. Who are you really? Not who you think you are or who society thinks you are, who you really are. You need to know who you are to know what's best for you. What's good for you, other people's not the best for you. For sure, we are all different circumstances. So this is, you know, a very difficult task, but is also a very interesting activity, right? So imagine being able to know yourself as you know someone else that you really know. You know, how cool is that? It's pretty much like reading your biography, and it actually ends up being very entertaining. So why is this so important? Not only for your career, but mainly to be able to live your real life, the life you're supposed to live. because there's only one life that is designed for you. That's the truth, and we want to get as close as possible to this life. Well, and knowing who you are and the next things that I'm going to present to you will really make your life much simpler. You're going to see. So what does that even mean, right? So let's get into a few things that we can do to get to know ourselves. All right. So number one, identify your values. I interview a lot of candidates in my companies, and this is one of the questions I ask: do you know your values? And you know what? Most people don't even know what that means, right? Which is really worrying for me, because this defines you pretty much, right? So ask yourself, what values guide my life and my decisions, right? So as it's written here, values determine your priorities and keep you deep down, and deep down, they are probably the measures you use to tell if your life is turning out the way you want it to, right? So it's a simple way to identify is asking yourself, what do I care the most about when making decisions that result on a positive outcome, right? What do I care the most? Every decision you take, what's in the back, of that decision, right? You usually always make choices based on your values. So as an example, right, freedom is my number one value. So for me, being an entrepreneur is a much better option than working for a public service, right? So that's a classic example. Another good exercise to identify your values is to think of a few people that you really admire and why you admire them. This could be people that you know, or any hero of yours, for example, right? It doesn't have to be a real person. And then you make a list of all of these characteristics and join the answers to the previous question to the list. If you choose, let's say, 5 people, you end up with, let's say, 30 values. All you have to do then is to pick the top 5 for you. What's the most important for you, right? And sometimes you didn't even realize those are important for you, but you identify that in someone else, and actually they are yours as well. There you go, you have your values, right? So now is the important thing, what to do with it. Write them down, print them. I write them every day on my journal and post them, let's say, next to your bed, write them in your journal, in your bathroom, so you never forget them. Why is that important? Is that if you make decisions that are not aligned with your values, I would say that I like to exaggerate and say that they're never going to work out, right? It's not going to work out at the end. You may not see right away, but in the future, that's going to become a problem for you. So it's imperative that you think about it to make the best decisions for you. You're optimizing your life this way, right? So that's about your values, key to getting to know yourself. Now, this is another really cool exercise that we do with our employees. So every time I'm hiring someone, I ask them to pass a personality test, and I love it. And there are different personality tests, different techniques. I recommend these 3 in here that you see on the screen, right? And I took this sentence from one of the websites, and freakishly accurate. It is. It's really cool. Like, you do the personality test, you get the result. Like, oh yeah, that's me. I recognize. And now actually you understand why you did things in the past in a certain way, and why you like certain things, why you dislike certain things, why you end up engaging with people in a certain way or not, right? And as I said, as an example, right, I ask employees to pass a personality test so we can get to know if they fit a specific position. Are they the right fit? And those personality tests can help you identify that. And I have to say that every time we end up choosing a candidate, ignoring a yellow or red flag that we saw, right? Not that the person is not a good person, it's just that the characteristics did not exactly fit with the job description. Well, what happened is they were not able to perform, simply not. It was not made for them, right? So I recommend you doing those tests. The self-authoring program by Jordan Peterson, you may have heard of Jordan Peterson. I'm a big fan, I have to confess. it's a great program as well. It was developed in the University of Toronto to help actually minorities to get ahead and understand their limitations, right? They focus on minorities, and it was really cool exercise to do it. I've done it myself as well. All right, so now list your strengths and weaknesses, right? You know, a lot of people say, hey, you know, I want to improve my weaknesses. I want to change. I want to be a better person. Yes, totally agree. We're always doing that. However, if you want to get ahead in your career, you know, the studies have shown that you should focus on your strengths, right? Because there's many reasons for that, right? It result on less stress, more energy, more confidence, satisfaction, creativity, you know, and overall happiness with among of other positive incomes. So it's really hard to be unbiased when thinking about our strengths and weaknesses. And this is why I recommend the following exercise, right? Ask a few people that you know well, that you trust, and that you know want your best, to list the things they think you are good or weak at. Make sure to explain them that you are not looking for compliments, and that you not be upset, you know, if they are hard on you. I do that about every 2 years, every two years, yeah, and that helps me keep me on track. And it's really cool. But don't do like I did the first time and ask your parents, because my mom made me feel like I was the best person in the whole universe. And I think that's, you know, more of a way for her to feel good. I knew it was not true, so it was not very objective, right? So think about that. Really go for the people you trust and you think could be unbiased. And another way is using the strength finder, the stats here by the American psychologist Donald Clifton, considered the father of a strength-based psychology, right? This is a good one as well that really helps with that. Okay, so now my favorite part. Find your ikigai, right? What is your ikigai? Okay, a lot of people actually didn't hear about this word. Your ikigai is your purpose. It's your why. It's a Japanese concept that means reason for being. It's the way you make your life worthwhile, resulting in satisfaction and sense of meaning in life, right? So for years, I looked for a practical way to identify my purpose. And the reason why I exist, I wanted to know, you know, I wanted to go a little deeper, you know, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Why, you know, I want to do those things or I don't want to do those things? What am I actually here for? And the Ikigai methodology really made my life easier. You know, you just need to write down the different things that are on this image. So the way I did is I divide, you know, I open a notebook, I divide the 2 pages in 4, right? And I wrote on each side. So start with a list of what you love on the top left, and then on the bottom left, what you think you're good at, right? Try to be objective again, and use that exercise, previous exercise, in the opinion of other people. And then on the bottom right, what you are could be paid for, what I could be paid for, you know. And on the top left, what do you think the world needs? Now, the commonalities you identify can define your passions, your missions, your profession, and your vocation. But your ikigai is really the main thing that you see that is, you know, appearing a little bit everywhere, maybe in different words, but it's a little bit everywhere, right? So for example, because today's topics, let's say among many other things, you love when you are able to have a positive impact, right? So that's one of the things I love. Like every time I have a positive impact, I feel really good. But some people don't really focus on that, but some people do. And that among other things that you're really good at inspiring people, right? I'm really good at inspiring people. I heard that from many friends. Oh, you're such a good source of inspiration, right? And you believe that the world, you know, among other things, needs more consciousness. And that you could be paid to do consulting because you've done that before, or, you know, you've seen your friends doing it, right? Well, maybe you should probably become a life coach, right? So here's just an example, but it's very efficient. You should do that, and it's really life changing. Okay, so now that you know who you are, right, with those basic methodologies in here, you have a better understand of what you should be doing in life. It'd be much easier to have the right career for us, right? Yes, in principle. But before we continue, I want to ask you another question, right? And if we can go to the third poll question, with the help of my team here, would be great. Do you believe in having the optimal lifestyle to attract or live your dream career, right? Optimal, it's an important word here, right? Everybody has a different lifestyle, but you believe that your lifestyle is serving you for this specific purpose, which is having the career of my dreams. Wow, it seems that a lot of people are on the right track in here. Waiting for the results to finish. All right, well, that's good. That's really good. Well, maybe I should stop the presentation, because it seems like 81% of you live the optimal lifestyle to attract and live your dream career. Well, that's good. What is good, because it really brings you confidence. It means that you feel confident to have and attract what you need in terms of your career, right? So you may be applying some of the techniques I will be presenting here next, because I believe that those are the techniques that can help you be in this peak state to live this lifestyle and reach your goals, right? So let me just close here. All right. So if you are living an optimal lifestyle, great. Let's talk about routine. And another question before we jump into the principles, the techniques that I want to present, right? This is another question just to understand, okay, so you have this optimal lifestyle, but what do you actually do, right, to have this lifestyle? Because if you believe you have, but is unconscious, well, maybe you can improve it. You probably can improve it. But if you are actually working precisely on certain things, like having a routine, and then I believe that you are really doing what you're supposed to do, right? So if we can launch the next poll and ask this question: do you have a daily routine to contribute to your self-empowerment, right? Think about what you do every day, and do you think that you are really doing everything you could with your limitations, your amount of time, and your knowledge to actually be in this peak state so you can have the career of your dreams? Okay, so I think it's very interesting, because a majority of you are actually to change careers, but then a huge majority of you believe to have the right lifestyle for that to happen. So this is good. This is good. You are on the right track, but also means that maybe we could have done that faster or before than now, right? I only changed my career when I was 30 years old. I think it was really late. I wish someone would have taught me some of the things that I'm trying to pass in here when I was much younger, a teenager, 20 years old. I would have become an entrepreneur then. I knew I was passionate about buying and selling, swiping things, negotiating, and I ended up never really, and having my own projects, building my own things. I ended up not doing that until I was 30. Well, so now we're very equal. It's about 48% say yes, they have the routine, and 52% no, they don't have the routine. Cool. So let's add some value here to some of you, and maybe help improve the routines that others have, right? So here are a few habits that if you add to your life, I can guarantee, right? I'm not the only one. Everybody that applies them really see those results, that you have a major positive impact on your ability to attract what you want personally and professionally, right? So routines are important to have, so you have the discipline to practice those habits. You need to save the time to do it, like anything else. If you don't, you won't actually exercise it. You may believe and understand the concepts, but you really need to do it. So some tips I'll give now should be incorporated in your morning or in your evening's routine. And other tips can be followed anytime, right? So a morning routine will help us set the tone for the day. It's really about controlling, having control over a schedule rather than letting the schedule control us. When you are late and you're in a rush and you don't really know what you have to do when, you feel stressed, and then now you don't perform well, right? So let's say you have a job interview and you just like running around because you didn't do the research about the company, you didn't research the person that is going to interview online, you didn't add anybody to LinkedIn, you didn't prepare. Well, if you were actually calmer and more confident in that situation because of a morning routine and you knew exactly what you had to do, the interview will go much better. And that makes a huge difference. I failed many interviews myself in the past because I was just there. I was just like, okay, I'm going to go to an interview and do some research, but I was not in my peak state. Today, I know exactly how to prepare to get there, right? And reduce anxiety about this moment, for example, right? So an evening routine is about reviewing your day. It's about learning from it, right? And also planning the next day and have a good night of sleep, be well rested. It's very important as well. Actually, your morning routine, they say your morning routine start the night before, right? So let me just close here. All right. So we're gonna talk about the few things that you can do in your routines. But you know, if you have identified your purpose in your career that you want to have, yeah, you really should be more content than most people. However, you know, it really identifying this career and exactly what you should do, it's not easy. And that's mainly why you should keep yourself in a positive state. You will have ups and downs, right? The positive state of mind will help you avoid negativity and won't disturb your progress towards this goal, which is getting, you know, your new job or the job in that specific company you want or becoming an entrepreneur. So it's really in your mind, right? Confucius said that those who think they can and those who think they can't are equally right, right? Are both right. Why? Because if you tell yourself, oh, I can't do this, for sure you won't be able to, right? There's no way you're gonna be able to do something you cannot do unless you sit down and say, okay, I think I can achieve it. If you don't believe, you won't even try most of the time, right? So happiness is not a constant state of mind, but there are many tricks to influence with your mind this state of mind. So if I think I'm happy, I will be, right? We can make, I can really believe we can make ourselves happy. We can hack ourselves to feel happy, even in the most, even if just momentaneously during a huge depression. And that small change becomes a snowball and influence the overall attitude and can even cure depression, right? So here are a few tricks to feel happy. First thing in the morning that I apply myself every day. First thing is smile, right? So, you know, if I, when I, now I have a girlfriend for a while, but when I had a new girlfriend and I wake up or you know, I have my spouse and I smile like this, you know, she laughed at me and it's fine. And I look like an idiot, but I still do. And I do that every day. First thing I wake up, I feel my body is awaking, boom, I put in a fake smile. But I mean it, really fake smile, right? And I would love everybody to try that now, right? Do that. You could that now. It's not only about, you know, doing like this, because I can do like this, and then not much is gonna happen. It's about really activating all the muscles in your face. And those muscles are the muscles that you activate with a natural smile. And actually your brain is not able to tell the difference. You can really not. So if you really stay like this for a while, I do it for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute sometimes, right? Sometimes I laugh at myself. It's just impossible to be, and have anxiety or anything like that. And, I'm sure I'm not the only one who wakes up and in my mind, start like spinning. Everything I need to do today. Oh, did I prepare this? Did I do that? I'm forgetting something. So forget about that and just smile. Just smile. That's really what you should do. So I invite everybody to try that now and see if they are able to feel unhappy. The other cool thing that is really simple to do is to send positive vibes, right? Or messages to people that you love, right? So the act of thinking positively and sending love to others actually is going to make us feel good. All of that is science here, okay? It's not a woo-woo, right? So every thought releases some type of chemical. When positive thought are generated, you are feeling happy, optimistic, love, and compassion. So cortisol decreases and your brains produce serotonin, right? So creating this feeling of well-being. One of my favorite quotes that I printed, I have in my office is, "The secret of living is giving," right? I'm not sure where I got that. I think it was Confucius as well. So I know that, and I don't do that because I want to feel happy, but I know, and I love giving and sharing and helping, but I also know that that makes me happy, right? So think about giving first, then receiving, and thinking about just having compassion and sharing. That's going to also bring abundance to you and make you feel very happy. Be happy by making others happy. This is really the point. And you can do that again, still in your bed, you smile. Now you think about someone. Maybe you have a friend who's sick. Maybe you just think about someone that you miss and send them a lot of love. A lot of people actually can feel that. All right. A few of you may have heard about that. It's very trendy now, which is breathing exercises, right? There are many types of breathing exercises, and the benefits are multiple. It helps you be more present, helps you relax, raise your energy level, increase your immune system. It can even change your state of consciousness, like holotropic breathing, right? So breath work has been a component of yoga for centuries, but now biohacks and health optimization experts like Tim Ferriss, if you don't know Tim Ferriss, I highly recommend following, his YouTube channel or his blog and signing up for his newsletter. He always presenting new things we can do to improve ourselves. Tony Robbins, Joe Rogan, they all utilize the power of breath, right? I most often practice the Wim Hof methodology. You may have heard of Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman. And the guy broke multiple records to exposure to cold by controlling his body temperature. And they prove scientifically that if you practice this exercise, you increase your immune system. They did the study in universities, in labs, and they injected a virus to this guy, and he fought the virus by breathing. Now, they said, oh, it's because you're unique, you have a higher percentage brown fat, and so on and so forth. And actually, he said, hey, I can train 16 people, I think, to do the same. And I'm sure they're going to be able to do the same. And the same thing happened. So I strongly believe in this methodology, and I actually practice even more now because of COVID. And it just make me feel strong and make me feel I'm not going to get COVID or anything else. So knock on wood, I haven't been sick at all for the past 2 years. And I believe it has a huge influence, right? I do other crazy things like, because, it's a methodology that also includes cold therapy. So, I walk 1 hour when I can on the weekends. Sometimes I'm minus 25 just in a tank top and shorts. I swim in frozen rivers and stuff like that, just so I can actually put myself into this, challenge mode and make my body goes back to this situation where it has to be really strong. And I believe that's strengthened me. I'm not saying everybody has to do that at all, but breathing is very important. And actually I do right after I wake up, 10, 15 minutes breathing goes very well. It really improves your state of being, okay? Which take us to a thing most of people hate. I was talking about ice bath, which is cold showers. And that's also getting very known, but I highly recommend. A cold shower has a lot of benefits. And for someone that is looking to change careers and has this challenge in front of them to find the right job, to connect with the right people, to feel confident, taking a cold shower, and we're very fortunate that we live in Quebec there. We can really have cold showers, because when I try to do that in Brazil, I don't even feel anything. It's actually a blessing, because it's really painful at first, but after a while you crave it, because that will, you see the results right away. It's like a shot of adrenaline, wakes you up, it makes you more alert, improves your immune system, increase your willpower. If you're able to do that in the morning, you're most likely able to do many other difficult things that you're going to face through the day. They also prove that it helps with weight loss and reduce stress. So highly recommend. Slowly, start with 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and eventually you can take a full cold shower in a day like today. Now, again, without trying to get too esoteric in here, you may have heard of the law of attraction and The Secret and all of that. It's very known. But I strongly believe this is key, or at least to apply some of that when we want to find our next career, right? Because you really want to create the circumstances that you want to live, that you want to live to get where you want to get, right? So if you are able to see them, but it's much more than seeing them. It's seeing, it's feeling, it's hearing them. You need to put yourself in a situation where, you think about that dream job, you think about the company you want to create. How does it look like when I'm at the office? Who am I with? What am I seeing? What can I hear? What's the office smells like? All of those things. If you do that a little bit, it really, some people say that it will make you attracted. I believe in that, but you don't even need to. You just, you are creating it. You are creating the circumstances. This thing is going to be on the back of your mind constantly, right? If you have something in the back of mind that is negative, that has a negative impact on anything you do. So imagine I have something that you really want in the back of your mind that you actually experienced before happening. Well, you also know that's going to help you, again, create the circumstances that will bring that to you, right? So vision board is one of the easiest way. You can print stuff, put in your room and look at it. And while you look at it, what I do is I say, eye markers, know, hear, see, and feel that, no, right? And that it just puts me in a cool state of confidence that I can actually go and achieve those things. Just want to make sure we're on track in here, right? So that's what I was saying. You combine visualization with incantations. Tony Robbins, it's a big expert. He makes a difference between affirmation and incantations, right? An affirmation could be like, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, right? But that doesn't really create anything, especially if you know that you are not. It doesn't really create that momentum, right? Now, if you engage your body, if you visualize that thing, if you make all the gestures, as we were saying, like about the fake smile, or any other thing that that activates those hormones in your body, you're going to feel it, and that's gonna pump you up, right? That's really gonna pump. You're gonna leave home to go to that job interview, and I did that so many times. Like, I know that job interview is mine. I know that I'm gonna get there. And actually, before the job interview, or if I'm doing a sale for my business, I visualize the entire meeting before, and I prepare what I'm gonna say when, and I understand. I pretty much will know and understand what's gonna come up to me, and already be ready for it, right? That's another thing. It's not even that I'm gonna create what's gonna happen. Is that I'm prepared, because this is how I envision it. And I may be right 100% of the time, or I may be right 15% of the time, but that 15% is going to make a huge difference. So I already get there, and whether it's for a goal or for a meeting, I know, and I'm prepared for what's coming. That's really where, what will put us in that peak state. Okay. Another very interesting thing, and there's a science behind that, and that's actually very known as well as practicing gratitude. And again, folks, there are so many things we can do. I'm just picking the ones that I've applied and I know works if you do, right? And practicing gratitude is huge. It's one of the top ones for me. It's very similar to the fake smile. The fake smile, actually, when I realized there was a connection, in between my gesture and my overall well-being, I really understood that this connection was a little bit everywhere. So practicing gratitude just makes it impossible for you to be unsatisfied, right? Because if you are grateful and thinking about positive things, tell yourself, how can you actually be at the same time thinking about something negative and be unhappy? It's just impossible. You cannot do both at the same time. So if you start with the positive, the negative will be less important, and you will remove the focus from the positive, from the negative, I'm sorry, right? So it's just really a very basic. You can write on your journal. You can, I do my breathing exercises, and then I focus on 3 things I'm grateful for as soon as I wake up. Also, visualize the day the way I want it to be. But the positive, the gratitude, and can be anything, and actually should be anything. You should not only be grateful for the things that are important, like the health of my family and having a job, but thinking about the small things and giving value to those small things, and understanding that many people don't have those small things, and those small things are essential for you, right? Like this computer here or my headphones. That makes a huge difference. It could be even a pen, just being grateful because I have a pen, because if I didn't have a pen right now, and then I wouldn't be able to take notes if I'm interested in the presentation, right? So it would be a little difficult. So pick, one big thing, one medium-sized thing, and one small thing, and that keeps you in balance with what gratitude is all about. And that will just remind you that actually there is a lot of good more than bad. All right, so I said that writing your gratitudes, what you're grateful for in your journal, and you can go to Indigo and buy a gratitude journal, which I don't, because I feel like it limits the way I interact with the different ideas, but it's a good beginning. I recommend for those who are starting and think this is like a bit ridiculous, but do it the simplest way possible for you, and that's when you're gonna see how it changed your life, right? But journaling for me is much more than that. And it for me is self-therapy. Is you sitting down in your own cabinet and talking to yourself and understanding, and reflecting on the issues, right? You go to therapy because you want to talk to someone, and someone most of the time just listens to you. Well, you can listen to yourself. If you write it down, you actually listen to yourself in your head, and it's a very similar effect, right? I do different things in my journal. The first thing I do when I wake up and I take my journal is that I do brain dumping. So brain dumping is, kind of downloading different ideas that came to me through the night, what I had as soon as I woke up. If I'm not focused on my gratitude and sending positive energy to people, and I skip it, and I got a little lost, so some ideas will come, and I'm gonna write them down. And I don't care about the way it's written. I don't care if I'm using the right pen or if I'm making mistakes when I write and it doesn't look good. It's just you write as much as you can, whatever comes to your mind. You see that after you read that, let's say I read my journal every week, and then those ideas really support your decisions during the week. Like many of them actually are very useful. Some are not, but many of them are very used, right? And I write, the 3 things I'm grateful for if I have time. I even write my goals and my visualization. Really write, I call it future accomplishments. I write down exactly how I feel when I accomplish the things I want to accomplish and what's happening, right? That requires some time. I'm not saying you have to do everything, but the journal is key, especially to reflect. Planning also is important. Writing down. I have to-do lists in many apps, but in the morning I still write the top things I want to accomplish and make sure I stick to them at least, right? But what is really cool about the journey is this reflection and working on improving yourself. So at night, right, we talk about morning and evening routine. At night, I write a few things that I believe were great about the day. You know, could be simple things, could be anything, could be a good conversation I had with my girlfriend, could be you know, a good sale I made, it could be the walk with my dogs or something like that, and how I can actually reproduce more of that. How could I actually have more of that if that's identified as good? And then I also do the opposite, which is, in my opinion, even more valuable in some cases, which is, okay, where did I screw up? And I try not to be too hard on myself, even though I am most of the time. Where did I screw up? Where did I go wrong? You know, and why, right? Why did I raise my voice with that person? What should I have done to not raise my voice, for example, right? If that's you know, an issue that you encountered. Why was I late again, right? What should I do next time? Just reflecting and writing those things really makes a huge difference on how you become and who you become, right? Okay, this is a classic one, but if I had to pick one activity, and it's probably not the easiest one, would be meditation, right? When I cannot work out, when I cannot do journaling, nothing, when I just, you know, get out of bed because I had a meeting early on and a call, I will take 20 minutes to meditate every day at least, right? And you see here is Ray Dalio, and I chose Ray Dalio and not the Dalai Lama because Ray Dalio is a Wall Street guy. He's one of the richest investors in the world, right? So this guy is like supposed to be analytical and, you know, just a go-getter of money, pretty much, right? So very different personalities than other people. Well, he still attributes his success to meditation, right? And a lot of other successful professionals, entrepreneurs, whatever, politicians, successful people in general do it. They just don't talk about it, right? They just don't, because, you know, people don't always share the secrets. But believe me, that meditation has been the life of a lot of people for a long time. And I highly recommend that you do at least that when you cannot do anything else, right? So we know the benefits, but I'm gonna just remind you, it's really about being present. And when you are present, you're developing your concentration, you're improving your focus, you are releasing this stress because you can actually not even think about it, right? And actually that helps creativity, which sometimes I think is disturbing my meditations. When I get ideas, I get insights, and I'm like, oh, shake my head, and I'm like, no, let's go back to focus on my breathing. That being said, hopefully I'll get to that idea later. And actually those ideas are actually very, very good, but it will improve your creativity through the day as well. They improve memory and better process your emotions in general. It gives you, develops some sort of compassion and makes you understand that you are part of more than just yourself and your little environment. It's difficult to explain why it does that, and you have to really do it for a while to understand. But when you start meditating, you start actually changing your lifestyle around it, and a lot of positive things will come out of it. This is a new one for me, and I'm not sure if most of you have heard about it. It's called grounding, and I traveled to Ecuador not too long ago, and I watched that in the plane, this documentary, and it's something very simple actually that my parents used to tell me when I was a kid in Brazil, which was to walk barefoot as often as possible. I don't think they actually knew why, but there is scientific evidence that it really makes a huge difference on our well-being, right? So grounding, also known as earthing, right? It's a therapeutical technique that involves doing activities that ground or electrically reconnect you to earth, right? So there is an exchange of electricity, right? So it relies on grounding physics to explain how electrical charge from the earth can have a positive effect on your body. And they've been trying to associate the fact that we use rubber shoes to the fact that we have more inflammation and we are more sick. That the people before, they were rather using wood shoes or walking barefoot, we have less diseases, right? So grounding is part of another thing that I believe is very important, which is connection to nature. And you may say, oh no, I'm a urban person, I like the city and so on and so forth, but nobody can deny that when they spend some time in nature, they feel revigorated, right? And it's not only spending time in nature, it's maybe connecting with an animal, right? We used to laugh, I used to laugh at people hugging trees. Now I understand why. Actually there is a purpose on that. It's not just like they want to protect the tree or something. Is that there is this exchange of energy between the tree and the person, and if you do that for some time, you actually feel better, you feel more present, you feel more connected, and that's also empower you on everything else you do, right? So try to spend more time in nature, connect with animals. I know it's hard now, it's winter, it's we all locked down, but if you can just when walking on the street, look at a tree. I do this exercise every day. I go on the parking lot and there's this huge tree, and I just look at it. I touch it too, but I just look at it and I try to find new stuff about it. And actually I kind of, it may sound weird, but I kind of, by watching it, I'm kind of understanding it better, right? I'm seeing it as a real thing. It's been here probably for 300 years, right? What has it seen? Is this more masculine energy or more feminine energy? And then I see the different things that I haven't seen on it before. All that observation makes you connect also. And if you can touch it, better, right? If you can walk barefoot on the snow, better as well. All right, cool. So again, some of the tips of things, activities you can actually concretely do that will put you in this peak state, so you can focus on what you want to do now, which is get a change careers and get a better future for yourself. I don't think you can separate one from the other. I'm really convinced that if you don't apply some of those things, or at least you think about them and you exercise them in a small amount, you will not be able to, especially if you don't know yourself the way you're supposed to make the right decision, to have the most performing job interview, to choose the company you want. All of those things will be done in a non-optimal way, and that's going to come back to you a moment or another. So let's try to really put all the chances on our side. Which brings me to this other one here, cultivating healthy and empowering relationships, right? We have to recognize that we are social beings, and unless you want to become a monk, you will probably not be at your best if you don't spend time with other people, right, that you like, right? With COVID now, it's really difficult, and sometimes I used to walk on the streets with my headphones, listening to an audiobook or something like that. And because I see not a lot of people and I don't have contact with people, actually I make sure that I'm when I'm walking down the streets, even though I keep my distance, I'm actually interacting with people, even with looks. That already makes me feel much better. I'm not alone. It makes a huge difference. All right, yeah. So what are you living with that COVID now really shows that, right? That the amount of depressed people has never been so high in history, and that's because we are not interacting with each other, unfortunately. But hopefully, it's gonna improve very soon. So spend time with people you cherish. That's also important. Don't spend time with people that you think you should be spending time with. Just spend time with people you share, especially now that we are much more limited. And once you recognize how important we need to understand that those around us have a huge influence on our development, right? We say that we have been programmed from 0 to 7 years old, and the environment that we lived will now dictate the things we do in our life. I strongly believe on that, but also strongly believe that we can modify this programming, right? And if you end up hanging out with people because of the circumstances, and you see that these people are not the ones that are empowering you, then you should change. You should change, and it's hard. It's not easy. It's really hard. We're dealing with people. It's really hard. But I really recommend to analyze a little bit that and still have compassion and love for those who do not empower you. But you have to progress, and if you can bring people with you, better. If you cannot, well, that's life, right? And Jim Rohn, said that Jim Rohn, it's a great author. You should check him out, right? You are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, and that's a very easy exercise to make. I would invite you to think now about the 5 people you hang out the most with. Where they live, what they enjoy doing, what are leisure activities they do, what they do for a living, how much money they make, and see if you're not a good average of these 5 people. And you probably are, right? You probably are. It's inevitable. Now, if I want to change industry, well, I'm going to have to hang out with someone that knows about that industry. If I want to, become financially independent and, learn how to invest my money, well, I'm going to have to hang out with people that do that. That makes sense. It's just basic, but we don't think about it, right? We don't think about it, and we end up spending time and energy where we should not, right? Which takes me to another crucial thing that I wish I would have had when I was a kid. That were mentors. Actually, I didn't understand this concept when I was younger, and I actually learned as being an entrepreneur. I realized after that I also had some mentors before. I just didn't call them this way. And again, it's still possible to do that even during lockdowns. For example, I recently created what I call a friends criticism group. So I took a few guys, many men, because it's a way of communicating that will maybe not be adequate for a lot of people, but you can choose the type of people you want, maybe your girlfriends or your guy friends, or maybe mixed couples, maybe intellectuals. And what I've done is I create this friend criticism group where we'll bring in topics and we will debate on how we see the other person around that specific topic and what the other person could do to improve herself. And I've been loving it. It's really life-changing for me because, first of all, I don't feel so lonely during the lockdown, and also I'm learning so much from people that have lived those experiences. Right? It's really about avoiding to make the same mistakes others have made. I'm having this image of Karate Kid. I remember in the movie cleaning cars and doing all those things. It's really possible to actually learn from those who have done the things you want to do. And it's not that difficult, right? I have mentors I actually found on LinkedIn. Right, when my company now, my last company is in fintech, so I approach the CEO of one of the largest banks in Canada, and this guy became my mentor, just like that on LinkedIn. So it's totally possible to do so. But think about giving first. Think about helping the other first, because that's going to incentivize them to also help you. You can go on meetups. If meetups are those discussions groups about specific themes. I participate in a couple, and really helps me learn a bunch of different things. So if you want to change careers, maybe you look at a meetup around that topic, right? And podcasts. Podcasts really. I don't watch TV. I only watch podcasts, and podcasts really became. I sometimes don't have time to read, but I watch and listen to podcasts very regularly. And that's also another great source of mentorship, because if you take Tim Ferriss, for example, this guy have done and tried so many things that I would like to apply to my life, and I can learn from his mistakes by watching those podcasts. So I highly recommend, making sure that you have a mentor, building a support group, or call it the way you want, with some close friends you trust. And also looking for resources online. Everything's there based on, and focus on your goal. If your goal now is change careers, those are the topics you want to discuss, of course, right? How other people have done, and how they identify their ideal career, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this one is a very large one that, we could discussed many things around the body and mind connection. But I want to bring the attention to a few things that are that exist when you change career, that exist when you look for a job, that exist when you are building your own business, right? We all know that we need to exercise, and then when you exercise, we feel good and you're more healthy. We know that. But how important is exercising to have the career of your dreams, right? So independently, if you want to get a job or be an entrepreneur, you have to make sure you're in good health, that you feel that you are in good health, and you look like you're in good health. And I'll explain why also the look is important, right? It makes a huge difference. Think about that. If you don't look healthy, maybe you're very depressed, maybe you gain a lot of weight, maybe you just not motivated to, dress up the way you should dress up for a job interview or something, right? But you have all the qualifications to get the job, or you want to find a business partner and you are searching for people that want to work with you on a specific company. I advise a lot of startups, and they all have those founders have a hard time getting co-founders. It's hard to identify who should be working with and wants to do the same thing. It's super difficult. Now imagine that you're gonna go meet with someone, or you're gonna go pass a job interview, right? Let's take the example of the job interview. And you have the same qualification as someone else, but you don't look healthy. You don't look like you're at peak state. Well, you're probably not gonna get the job. And it's sad, because we have this tendency of judging people by the way they look and making assumptions. But that's a reality that I try to avoid in my own life. And by not doing it, even though sometimes I can't hold myself, we all believe guilty of that, but you don't know how the other person is going to be thinking. So make sure that you do the things that you need to do to be, feel, and look healthy for get your dream job, or build your company, or find the partner of your dreams. I'm not going to get into details of these things here, but while I've been a personal trainer in a past life, my goal is not to tell you what physical activities you have to do, or anything like that. Here are just a few top picks that I believe are some of the most efficient ones to be healthy. Okay, so high intensity workouts, right? Making sure that you burn your calories, making sure that you activate your body, make sure that you do exercise that actually will fortify the muscles you need just to do the things you need to do during the day, right? Maybe carry your kids. Some types of exercise, for example, are very important for longevity. And I was watching this podcast where this doctor was saying that he basically just do a few exercises because he knows his number one goal is to be able to carry his grandchildren as long as possible. And what children do is, like, you have to pick them up and lift them, right? So he does a lot of deadlifts, and he has a specific training just for that, right? So those type of things are you want to look into. It's not about looking muscular or slim. It's really about making sure that your body is in that situation that you can actually do everything you need to do. Maybe your job is manual, right? I'm sure most of you have done or tried yoga. Pilates is a good one. I used to, a lot of life, do a lot of bodybuilding or traditional workouts. And I discovered Pilates and how difficult Pilates is. And the great thing about Pilates is that you don't require equipment, and it actually really targets specific muscles that will make you feel much more energized. So I invite everybody to try that. Intermittent fasting is very trending. I'm not here to give medical advice or anything like that. What I can say about intermittent fasting is that it really helps you be focused, right? And once you get adapted to not having to eat all the time, that energy that was digesting the food is now being used for other things, and you get laser focus. Right? I fast about 5 times a week, sometimes 6, and I actually eat 1 or 2 meals per day. So my productivity, like, it really improved with fasting, on top of many other advantages like increasing longevity, increased production, hormone production, and so on and so forth. So look into intermittent fasting if you haven't yet. everybody that I know that tried were very happy with it if they've done the right way. Be very careful with that. Keeping your body alkaline, we heard about the green juices, but that makes a huge difference. Making sure that what you eat is clean. And I'm not saying, hey, everybody needs to eat organic, but basically eat less sugar and more greens. That's the basic, right? The goal here again is not only to be healthy, but if you are working on putting your best self out there, you don't want to be tired and excited. That really is going to lower your productivity on doing things and accomplishing your tasks. So you want to keep that continuous, right? State of mind, energy level. So more healthy fats and proteins and less sugar and more greens. And a very difficult one that actually I tried and I stick to it for the past 3 months is that I completely removed caffeine. And I was a heavily caffeine drinker. I know this is probably one of the most challenging things for most people. It's just, I love coffee too. I actually sometimes drink some decaf just for the pleasure. But I learned by doing those things, you're gonna start learning your body, and you're gonna start feeling what it has an influence on your behavior, right? And I've seen clearly that when I drank caffeine, coffee, or I had any other energy drink, even tea sometimes, I would be more anxious. I would be more stressed. I would have more arguments with people. I would just be more tired actually at the end of the day. And I would have also, again, ups and downs. So I had, because of some reason, to remove caffeine for a week, and I challenged myself to remove it. And I feel like I'm much more energetic without caffeine, believe it or not. Sometimes I think, as it's a drug, right? You're like, oh, I will have a coffee because I feel a little tired. Like today, you may sense on my voice, I didn't sleep too much. I have too much going on in my business and other things I'm doing. And I even felt like, oh, maybe I should have a coffee. And actually, no, I chose not to. And my energy level is constant. I know I'm probably going to crash earlier today, but that makes a huge difference. Really look into that, try it. I highly recommend. Alcohol is the same thing, right? We know the problems of alcohol, but alcohol also changed your energy level, and other drugs in general, of course, don't recommend. But if marijuana is legal now, and we think maybe nothing, but if you may want to smoke a joint if you want to. The problem is if you do the day before your job interview, 100% you won't be the same. And it's the people that do and say no, I have no problem with that, it's not true. They're just not conscious. It's like it's science. So try it, especially in this moment if you are looking to improve your well-being and be more focused. Right now, almost done here. To be frank, I know I had so many things I wanted to present, so many things I'm passionate about, but one of the main problems I face, and I know a lot of people do, is procrastination. I just like anybody else. And I just present here a list of a bunch of things that you think that probably if you have to do them, you're going to spend your whole day doing them, right? And sometimes it actually even creates anxiety, and you end up not doing them, and you just go back to your traditional lifestyle. So I've been studying on how I can actually control procrastination, and I'm a huge follower and believer of. Someone draw on the screen. I'm a huge follower and believer of the Stoic philosophy, Stoicism, right? So I look into what Stoics recommend for procrastination. So these are a few tips that you can easily understand. So if you do one thing at a time, it will increase your focus, right? Simple to get. So just do one thing at a time. Don't try to do many things. If you have a huge list, just stick it to the most important one, right? And take small actions. So the Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the fathers of Stoicism, wrote, you have to assemble your life action by action, right? And this will make you feel like every task is easier and create momentum. Every time you do a little thing and you accomplish it, first of all, it's much simpler to do, and you create momentum and you keep doing them, and you keep progressing. Don't try to be perfect. I suffer a lot from that. I want to do everything I do. I want to do my best. And it's hard for me to analyze if I'm doing my best or not. And I'm super anxious. And sometimes I don't even end up doing it. Right. So I'm actually lying to myself. So Churchill said that perfection may also be spelled paralysis. So learn to not focus too much on the details. Sometimes the details are important for specific things, but if you need to get things done, just do them, right? You know, Nike launched that quote many years ago, and as a kid, I had no idea what it meant, especially because I didn't speak English. But you know, just that basic. You know, just do it, and little by little, and don't focus too much on the detail. And always try to start with the hardest thing, right? We always do the opposite. We, you know, like, oh, I'm going to walk the dogs, and then after I'm going to do this and this and that, and then this afternoon I'll work on my presentation for tomorrow. So that's classic. Start with the hardest things first. So those are just a few tips that you can easily apply. If you follow them, will actually reduce your level of procrastination. And again, what matters is action. Even if you do a little bit, what matters is some action, right? I don't know if everybody's seeing that, but I have a line here. I don't know how that appeared. I don't think it was me, but I'm going to continue. I have just a couple of more slides. Define success. So now you know a lot of things you can do to improve yourself, but how do I know that I'm actually progressing, right? How do I know I'm being successful at what I'm doing? So for me, success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. It's saying that I'm getting closer. It's not about actually achieving it, right? That's another quote that changed my life, because I was always looking for the end result. I was always looking, oh, I'm gonna get there. I'm not there yet. I'm gonna get there. And I was never satisfied, never, because I was forgetting about the journey. And life is not the end result. Life is here now. It's the present moment. You know, life only exists in this exact second. So if I'm not enjoying this exact second, I'm actually unhappy. Why? How do I think I can be successful then? So enjoy the progress. See that I'm making progress. You know, be grateful for the progress that I'm making, right? So it's part of the gratitude routine, right? Because otherwise, you're never gonna be happy ever, right? So I printed that and I have that in my room because it just reminds me, like I may be thinking, oh, I wasn't able to do that. Well, but actually I did some of it and I progressed. So that's pretty good already. Now, if I had to pick one thing among all of this practice, right? I talk about the activity of meditating is very important. And in terms of activity, that would be my number one thing. But one principle in here, among everything that I talked about today, to guide my life and help me stay in peak mode, that will be this Stoic principle, amor fati. So it's used to describe an attitude in which, okay, and that means, by the way, love of fate, or love of one's fate, okay? So it's described, the attitude in which one sees everything that happens in life, including suffering and loss, as good, at the very least as necessary. And what's necessary is necessary to bring good, right? So believing this principle, it's my secret for happiness. For me, if I really remember myself of this, and actually I tattooed that on my body, that I believe so much on it, that it's impossible for me to be unhappy. And it's impossible for me to lose motivation when I'm doing a task or anything like that. Because think about that. If you think that anything that happens is the best option available, and I value as such, even the most terrible things, how could I spend time being unhappy if I believe on that, right? It's a belief. It's like believing in God. You believe it, you may not believe it, but those who believe, right, they are certain of it, and that guides their life. Well, I'm certain that whatever happens to me is the best that could have happened, because nothing else exists but that, right? Yes, I could maybe next time work on making it better. But that's not what happened. So it doesn't exist, right? It could be anything. And I like to use this horrible example because I know it's going to happen. And facing death is something very difficult for everybody. But I know that if, let's say, one of the people that I love the most, like my mom, pass, it's not going to make me depressed. It's going to make me sad. It's going to make me, momentaneous sad. But I know that this is what was supposed to happen. And, I believe she'll be in a better place. So it's extreme, but it's really what, if you believe in that, and then you're pretty much free. For me, that's freedom, right? So use this principle to not become a victim of your emotions, but to guide them, right? Being a victim of your emotions is what drags us down. That crocodile mind starts, and then you spin and then you forget things, and you forget what really is or matter. And this is why I keep myself in check all the time. And to finish really is just do your best and trust the universe. My life coach taught me that when I was telling her, like, hey, I'm doing everything and everything's going wrong. Why does it happen to me? She's like, look, it doesn't matter. Just trust the universe. I mean, again, it's just another belief. It's just another belief. But if you do, and that's what Epictetus say, like, you make the best of what is in your power and you do your best there, and then take the rest as occur, because you don't have an influence on it. So I don't want to feel sad or lose motivation. Let's say I didn't get that job I wanted. Well, I would just believe that it wasn't supposed to be, and I'm going to get a better one after. Do I believe that I did my best to prepare? Yes, I did. Check. Nothing else could have been done. Fine. Wasn't supposed to be. That's it. Let me just do something else. So that's how I wanted to end. I wanted to save, if you guys have questions, for some Q&A, I want to save some time, but I know we are short here. And thank you. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to do so. And I appreciate everybody's time. And I hope that was useful.
Thank you so much, Marcos. Wow. Definitely a lot of resources and strategies, and reminding us of the things that we really should be focusing on in order to reach our peak state, not only in our careers but in our lives. The chat has been going crazy throughout the duration of your talk. A lot of great questions, a lot of great resources are being shared. So I'd like to thank you all for your engagement and participating. This was very uplifting. I'm motivated. I have pages and pages of notes. We're going to take a few questions. There was one question that really struck me throughout your presentation, and it came from Carolyn. She would like to know, for someone who is in a job, it's a comfortable job, great benefits, salary's not bad, but they're not living their passion. They know that they could be doing something else, something more. What is your advice to those of us in that situation?
That's a great question. I've been there. I had a 150,000 salary, and I went down to 30,000 and a bunch of risks. And I lived on 30,000, 35, 40,000 for a couple of years. So again, going back to getting to know yourself, I think that's the key. All right. So you already ahead because you identified that's not your purpose. Doing that job is not what you want, right? Okay. So do those exercises to get to know yourself. And there you're going to identify what you really like, what you should be, what you're good at, what you should be doing. You're going to at least get some clues, right? And that's going to be the beginning for you to reflect on a side project, right? And I hate saying that because I'm a boss myself, and I would not want my employees to do side projects most of the time. But if you stay and you keep performing on your business, on your company now, your the job you have, you worthwhile the salary, just keep doing it. I did for a year and a half. I built my company, and I was traveling the world doing sales for another company. They never realized, never ever, was completely different businesses, and I would work at night because I would be in the Middle East or Russia or whatever, and I would work there with my team in Montreal the next day, and that worked. Was hard, was not easy. I do not recommend anybody just leaving their jobs and it's like, hey, I'm gonna do this, because there's so much you need to learn to actually be successful. And I see a lot of startup entrepreneurs that I mentored that they really don't know the basics, unfortunately, and they are doing side jobs and getting along, but at a certain time you have to make the jump, and that's when you have to believe in yourself. And I believe that no matter what happens, if you got that far, was already amazing. It was already a learning. You got that far that to make the jump and start something, and see yourself in the position where you can actually start something, right? Try to get some funding if it's a company, or if it's getting another job or moving to another place. When you do it, you are much more powerful, and that's going to help you to get ahead and probably get the same salary you had before, or much more.
Thank you. And I empathize, especially for people who maybe have children, they have a family, they have responsibilities. How do you get over the fear of making that jump to make a change?
So and that's quite extreme, but fear doesn't exist, right? Fear, it's not something. It doesn't exist. It is nothing really. It's just something that we create on ourselves. There's a great video, Will Smith, sometimes he says really cool things about the fear of jumping from an airplane. And here he's explaining that. And once after I watched this video, it really, like, fear for me, it's nothing, because I haven't jumped yet. Okay, so I'm not at risk. I'm in the airplane. There's nothing can happen. So why am I punishing myself? Right? Haven't jumped, right? And once you jump, you are in ecstasy and you realize I shouldn't be fearful. So why did I do all that with me? So I know it's a hard thing to apply, but just try to remove the fear, because your fear is just clouds in your head blocking you to make progress. Once you get to do that a little bit, of course, be responsible, right? Do you have a husband that has enough revenue so you can sustain the family for, let's say, a year at least, right? Do you believe you can get investors? Maybe you just need a break where you're going to reflect, right? Not vacation where you're going to drink and party, but a break where you're going to reflect and then analyze what are the steps I should take to be more comfortable with that decision, right? Again, it's not easy, but removing fear is a big step. And once you are confident that you have circumstances that will support your decision, make the jump, because you won't regret it. You won't. You won't make the jump and say, okay, I went this far and now I'm not able to get another job. It's not true, especially not in Canada, right? Nobody's going to say, oh, you made the jump, so never come back here again. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen like this. Be respectful of the people that are supporting you and make the jump.
Thank you so much for your response. We are a bit over time. We're going to take a few more questions. If anyone wants to speak up to ask Marcos directly, please feel free to jump in. Does anyone have a question directly for Marcos you'd like to ask?
Yes, I had a question about the IKIGAI. Find your, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So find your IKIGAI. Can you give a bit some more concrete examples about that? Because it's just so many things, like what you love, the mission, the profession, what, like there's so many things. Like how can we make it at home by ourselves? Can you give us some more?
Let me share my screen again quickly.
Thank you.
And try to, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back on the IKIGAI. It's actually pretty simple when you do it. Okay, so write down things you love, anything that comes through your mind. Okay, start with that. What do I love? Like, oh, I love walking my dog. I love snowboarding, going in nature. I love whatever. I love going to the gym. I love working in groups. I love animals in general, etc. Right? So just write everything that comes through your mind. Don't really, you should, when you're doing those exercises, we should never really reflect, right? Because your gut feeling is always the best answer. I really believe on that. Every time I didn't listen to my gut feeling, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna reflect on this. But sometimes even before asking myself the question, I already received the answers. I just ignore it, and then I try to formulate it. Don't, just write down. And then what you're good at. Remember, we can do that exercise asking people that you really know you what they think you're good at, and then writing down things you think you're good at or people told you you're good at, right? And then again, what you are paid for. Actually, it's what can you get paid for, right? So maybe you have some professional skills that you believe you could be paid for, right? So I'm an entrepreneur. I know that if I walk in a company and I want to be a consultant, I could, for example, right? I've been a personal trainer in another life. I know I could do that too. I am very organized, and I could be, decorating homes because I like that, whatever it is. And then you write them down, right? And then a little bit more, deep is what do you think the world needs, right? What's happening in the world now that, where have you identified needs in general? Entrepreneurs do that a lot. They have a little, I do that on my phone today, but you have a little notebook, and every time you face a situation that is not optimal, you're like, oh, okay, this could be done better in here. Oh, it would be ideal that I could have I don't know, a carpet in front of the door because we cannot clean our feet with because of the snow. Well, none of those houses have. Why? Whatever. Those are very simple ideas, but or a lot of people now are locked down and they cannot interact with each other as much. We need more interaction. So just write down everything. See, those are very different things. What do you see after you make all those lists? Take a pen like this, a highlighter, and then find the ones that are alike. Find the ones that goes together, that fit together, right? So let's say I love walking my dogs. I'm really good at science, right? I was really good at science. Maybe I'm just coming out of high school. I have been paid to walk dogs before, and I believe that dogs should be treated better. I think this is important for the world in general. Well, maybe I should be a vet, right? So you may not get it the first time, but try a few times, and you will see the commonalities, and you get closer and closer to what your ikigai should be. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We will make time for one last person to ask their own question. Is there someone
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. What if you have lots of interests and passions, and it's hard to choose one or two to focus on, and like you feel like you're all over the place? How do you go about narrowing a choice, a selection?
Okay, so I've been there, and I know exactly what you mean. The way I've done it, and I believe is just to trust your gut feeling. You will tell yourself what you like and see how you feel. Tell yourself another thing you like, see how you feel. Tell yourself another thing you like, or just read them. Just when you list them and read them. Oh, like this. Oh yeah, I like this. I like this. See, the way you're going to receive the information will be different. And yes, there is a risk in there, but when you feel it, you're much more secure. But and then you have, of course, other variables, right? Is this a business model that could work? You know, can I make money out of it? How? And then you have really to work on those projects. I always have about 4 projects I'm working at the same time, and most of them don't go anywhere. They don't. I just do it because I'm learning stuff, and I have identified the need, and I like working on challenges and problems, but most of them don't go anywhere, and then one goes somewhere because, and I'm gonna get a little esoteric in here, because the universe will send something to you. That's how I see it. Because I met a guy, and this guy said, hey, I had this idea, and I want to invest and build a company about that. And you're like, oh, this is what I was working on for the past year, and that's it. And you get to know, and you see if this person can be a good partner. I'm giving examples related to entrepreneurship because that's what I live the most, but that's how I see it. You just keep your options open, and don't stress out about it. Don't get too anxious. As long as you're making progress on those different projects you're handling, something will come that will give you a sign. It's like, okay, now it's time for me to invest here.
Did that answer your question, Carolyn?
Yes, thank you very much. It's very insightful.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I realize that everyone has questions. I'm going to allow 2 more, just 2 very quickly as we prepare for our next session. Carlos Gonzalez, would you like to ask your question directly? I see your hand is raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it's I just got to stall a little bit when you were talking about having the right lifestyle. Could you please elaborate a little bit more on what that mean?
Having the right lifestyle for you. What I mean by that?
Yes, exactly.
So what I mean by lifestyle is really what you do on your daily basis, right? And we all have routines. Just think about what you do every day. Most days you do similar things, right? Now, the question is, are those things that I'm doing helping me with my end goal or not, right? And then take each one of them, break your day into different pieces. Am I waking up on the right time? Am I doing something that is empowering me as soon as I wake up, or am I taking my phone and going on social media? Am I doing the exercise and studying and doing the courses I need to do to learn about the things I need to learn? Those strategies that I presented here are simple things, simple in my opinion, things that will help you get energized and pumped and positive about what you're looking to accomplish. It's a complement. It's like a supplement of your life, right? And then it becomes your life. And it just like, I wish if I could only do those things, I would spend my day doing them, to be frank. At first I hated meditating. Today I'm like, oh, I wish I could just sit down and meditate for an hour. And they become your life. And then you see that this type of lifestyle is more empowering than others. And I'm not saying it because I live it. I'm saying it because most successful people have preached it and practiced it, and we are just replicating what they've done our own way based on our limitations. So that's lifestyle to me.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Marcos, thank you so much for being so generous with your time, as you always are. If you would like to connect with Marcos, his LinkedIn profile is in the chat. Please feel free to connect with him directly. Thank you for reminding us to get to know ourselves, to take the time to do that, and to take conscious decisions on a daily basis to live the fullness of not only our days, but our lives, and to enjoy the journey. Thank you for joining us for this session of PowerSkills. We hope to see you shortly at 1 o'clock with Alexandra Wozniak, a former tennis champion. She's going to give a very great interview and tell us a bit more about resilience. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, Valerie, Diane,
Thank
and the
you,
whole team.
Marcos.
Thank you all.
Yes.
It was a great pleasure.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See, I've lost my colleague. Hold on.